Hello, welcome. In the previous video, you have seen just printing a welcome message only. There is no much use of it. Just I wanted to show you how to print any message on the screen and what is main function, all those things, and how to run the program, how to compile the program. Okay, right. You have seen all those basic things. But any program's fundamental task is to take some input from the user, process that input and show the results to the user. That is the fundamental task of any program or any software. What is it? To take some input from the user, process that input and show the results back to the user. For example, if you take ATM center software, the ATM software takes the card information as input from the user, takes the PIN number as an input from the user, it takes the deposit amount as an input from the user, it takes the option chosen by the user as an input, whether deposit or withdraw, whatever it is. So these are all inputs for the ATM machine software. When we enter some deposit amount, it checks whether sufficient balance is available or not in our account. That is known as processing. If it is available, then again it checks sufficient cash is available or not in the ATM machine. That is another processing. If everything is okay, then it subtracts the amount that you asked from our balance. That is another processing. This is known as processing. Then finally dispense the cash to the user or give some printout on a paper to the user, or give some message, success message, or show some failure message to the user. That is known as output. So this is the fundamental task of any program. Okay. To take the input from the user and do the processing, first the data has to be stored somewhere temporarily until the processing is done. Where such data is stored? Such data is stored in a device known as RAM or memory. So before storing any data in memory or RAM, we have to reserve sufficient amount of memory. Like before traveling in a train, we have to reserve some seat. Similar here also, before storing any data in RAM, we have to reserve sufficient amount of memory. And then when we book a seat, we get a seat number. Similarly, when we reserve a location, we have to give some name to that location so that that location can be accessed using that name. So how to do all those things, we are going to see to the example. So in this example, I am going to accept a number from the user, store it in memory, give a name to that memory location, then access that memory location. In the first program, we are going to take an input or take an integer or take a number from the user and just display it, just to verify that what our user has entered, same has been stored and same has been displayed. In the next example, we are going to accept two values from the user, store both the values, show both the values. In the last example, we are going to do processing as well. Accept two numbers, add them as part of processing and display the sum as the result. Okay, so we shall go step by step as 3 steps. Okay, right. Let's begin with the first example, accepting a number from the user and store it in memory and display it to the back to the user. This is example 1. Now, how do you do that? Numbers are known as integers in C language programming. An integer is represented as int keyword. This is a keyword. And this line is known as memory reservation line. I told you that memory has to be reserved first before accepting the value. Memory reservation. statement. Okay. Then what happens? Sufficient memory to hold an integer is reserved. Right. So this is the memory location. You know that memory is measured in bytes, 10 bytes, 20 bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, so on. For an integer, 2 bytes are allocated. If it is a 16-bit compiler, the 16-bit compiler, like old compilers, Turbo C or Turbo C++, okay, integer occupies 2 bytes. With the 32-bit compiler, or Windows-based or Linux-based compiler, like GCC, then integer occupies 4 bytes. You please remember that point. Several times in our course, this point is required. Okay. On a 60-bit compiler, like Turbo C, it's an old compiler, 2 bytes. On all modern compilers, integer occupies 4 bytes of memory. Okay. Let me go with 2 bytes. Okay. So 2 bytes are reserved. This is the memory location. We are giving n as the name to the memory location. You are accessed with your name. Yes or no? People call you with your name. Similarly, we access memory locations with their names. We have to give names to the memory location. You also have a phone number. You also have a Aadhaar card number. But you are not called using your Aadhaar card number. You are not called using your phone number. You are called using your name only. Similarly, each memory location has got a unique address, but that happens internally. But in the program, we access them using names. So, say its address is 6248. That is the address of the memory location. Okay? Right. 2 bytes. So, 6248. Each byte has got a separate address, 6248 and 6249. It's a convention that we write only the first byte address. Okay? Right. But actually, 2 bytes means 6248, 6249. 4 bytes means 6249, 6250 and 6251 as well. Okay? Please remember it. Now, what is n? It is known as a variable name. N is known as a variable name. Means what? A name given to a memory location. What is the variable name? It is nothing but a name given to a memory location. That's it. Okay. So, memory reservation statement, okay, is completed. Now, what you have to do? Ask the user to enter a number. You know how to display some message on the screen. One more point. So, this is not a key, this is a keyword and this is known as data type. This is known as what? Data type. What type of data we are entering? Okay, it is indicated by that keyword. Okay. Now, we have to ask the user to enter a number. Enter a number. That you know, printf some message within double quotes. Then, you know about printf. It displays some message on the screen. Now, what you have to do? Take the input from the user. So, wait until the user enters the input. For that, we have to use another library function known as scanf. This is another library function which is used to accept input from the user. Into the scanf, we have to give such an information that we convey what type of data we want to read and where we want to store. Those two things we have to convey to the scanf function. So, %d indicates what type of data. D stands for decimal. Integers also known as decimal numbers in C program. Then where we want to store? In this address 6248. That is indicated by address of n. We say address of n. We should not say the number directly because we don't know, okay, what number is assigned to the memory location. Okay, it happens at runtime. We can't decide in the program itself that I want so and so address. We can just know, but however, we can know what address it is assigned. That we see later in some other chapter. So, this is known as address of operator. This is an operator known as address of operator. So, we read it as address of and this is known as decimal. Okay, and D stands for decimal and this entire thing is known as format specifier. Format specifier. It tells what type of data you want to read. So, these two things has to be converted to the scanf function. What are those two things? What type of data? It indicates into the type of data where we want to store into this, because in this program we can have several other variables as well. Okay, right. So we have to mention into which variable or into which location we want to enter that value. Okay, then what you have to do? Just print the data for verification. So you have to print. So suppose user entered 58, that is the input entered. Okay, so what you have to do? You have to print that as an output. So printf, you have to print n. So if you say n, would it work? No, it won't work. You know, we have to use double quotes. If you use double quotes, it works. But what will be the output? It will be n, not 58 or 75, whatever you enter. Okay, that's not a requirement. Whatever value you entered, that should be displayed as output, but not just n. So what we have to do here? For that again, we have to use that scanf style. So in the printf function, we have to say %d and n. Okay, %d is special. Even though you are giving it in printf function, %d won't be printed. It acts as a placeholder. N's value is displayed over here. So whatever is n's value is displayed over here. I hope you understood this program. First we have to do memory allocation. Then ask the user to enter a number. Then take the input from the user. Then display the output. Okay, right. There is one more point I want to explain in this program itself. See, every value in RAM is stored in the form of binary, means zeros and forms only. Okay, zeros and ones only. So let me show you how it is stored. Say for 58, you know, any number can be converted into binary form, that is into zeros and ones, by dividing it with 2. So 2, how many times? 28 times or 29 times precisely. Okay, 58. So remainder would be 0. Then how much? 14 times 28, 1. 7 times 0. Then 3 times 1. Then 1 time 1. You know that the reverse order we write the values. So this is decimal value to base 10. Its equivalent binary is how much? 111,010. This is the binary equivalent of the number 58. Now how is it stored in RAM? I told you that in RAM it is stored in 2 bytes. So 1 byte means how many bits? Bit is the minimum memory element or memory unit. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. So it is stored as 8 bits. So assume that these are 8 bits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 bits. So from the right hand side you have to copy down 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So remaining 2 bits would be filled with, this is 1 byte. Then what of the other byte? Be on the left hand side, again 8 bits, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all would be filled with zeros. With the 4 byte value, again 1 more byte and 1 more byte, all would be filled with zeros. That's how the value is stored in RAM. I hope you understood this concept. Let's move on to the second program. If you understand this, okay, the remaining programs will be easier for you. Yeah, now example 2. To accept 2 numbers, store them and print them. So for 2 integers, if 2 people want to travel, 2 seats have to be reserved. Similarly here, int I say a comma b or n comma m. There are some rules for variableness. You shall see them in another video. Okay, so 2 bytes to a, some location, 2 bytes to b in other location. Okay, this how memory is allocated. Now ask the user to enter 2 numbers. See, input can be taken in multiple ways. We can tell the user that enter 2 numbers. then the user will enter both the numbers. Or we can even say enter a number, user enters a number, then we can say enter another number, then user enters another number. There are multiple ways. Okay, it's up to you in what way you want to read. I say enter two numbers. Okay, then scanner. For one number 1%, for two numbers 2% you have to use. Right. Don't give any spaces in between, put everything together. Then first value should be stored in A, address of A you have to say. Second value should be stored in B, the address of B you have to say. Simple? Right. So say some 20 and 85. So output should be 20 and 85. I say printf %d, two numbers no? That's a 2% is. First one should be printed from A, second one should be printed from B. Remember that only in scanf function we have to use address of operator. In printf function we should not use address of operator. Why? That also you are going to learn in pointers chapter. Okay. So what happens? Output would be A is 20, then B value would be 85. But they would be displayed together. Okay. If you want some space and comma in between, just give a space and comma, otherwise they would be displayed together. %d, comma, space and the second value. I hope you understood this program as well. Now let's do the actual processing one as example 3. So this is example 3, the last one in this video. Now this is input, we want to store the output also in another variable. So we have to take one more variable. Okay, all these are integer type of variables. So see, this also occupies 2 bytes. Some location, say 666, right. Now taking the input is over, this you already know. Now what you have to do? Just add them and store it in C. How? You have to store it in C, that's why you have to say C equal to A plus B, that's it. Put a semicolon at the end of every statement. Okay, then what happens? A and B would be added and the result would be stored in C. It's not A plus B equal to C, it is C equal to. On the left side of equal to, you have to write the variable where you want to store the value. So in this example, 85 and 20 would be 105, would be stored in C. Just print it. If you say %d, C, only one result we want to print. Again, we don't want to print the input values, okay, that you already know. Then output would be 105. So this is input, this is processing and this is output. Now one more point I want to cover. The output is 105. What is this value? It is actually a sum. Okay, right. So if you want to say sum is equal to this 105, won't it be better? For that, what you have to do? In place of this statement, we have to say printf. We want sum equal to, then what are values there in C? In %d, C. Okay, right. So this is the better way, sum equal to. But what if we want to tell the user sum of 20 and 85 is equal to 105? Okay, that also I will show. So then we have to say printf sum of, these are all constants, okay, right. And then sum of whatever is there in here. So we have to replace with format specifier. Sum of whatever value is there in A, and again whatever value is there in B, %d. Sum of say 10 and 20 equal to 30, so 10 and 20 equal to again %d. Then for this one A, this one B and this one C. So 3 format specifiers, that's why 3 variables. Okay, A's value is displayed over there, B's value here, and c's value over here. Okay, you write only one among these three statements. Okay, one at a time. Okay, you remove the statement and then try with this statement, remove that one as well, and try with this statement. I hope you understood all these three examples. As this is the first time for you, you may encounter some hiccups during the practical part. So that's why I want to demonstrate the same thing on the computer as well. So that you can compare your practical work with my demonstration. Okay, if you have any hiccups, you can compare with my demonstration. You have seen three programs. First one, take one integer from the keyboard and display the same to the user. In the second program, we have entered two integers and then displayed the same. In the third program, we have done processing as well. After taking two integers as input, we have added them and displayed the sum as output. Now this is a practical demonstration of the same. As a beginner, you may land in some practical problems. You commit some common mistakes. You please compare with my demonstration and correct those mistakes. This is the first example. This you already know. We enter an integer and print the same. The practical mistakes that you might commit while practicing on the computer are, you may forget to open the bracket. You may forget putting a space in between int and n. You may forget putting semicolon at the end of any statement. You may not properly open the double quotes and close the double quotes. You may not put the comma properly. You may not put ampersand over here. These are all practical problems you may encounter as a beginning. No problem. As you progress, you keep on learning. Now let me execute the program. Build the program. Make sure that you don't have any errors. Run it. You enter some input. You should get the same as output. Then the second example you have seen, we have taken two integers a comma b. I say enter two numbers. So we need 2 percentages. Don't give any spaces in between or before or after percentage this. Address of A and address of B. Then print the same percentage D, first one from A and second one from B. So now let me rebuild the project and rerun the same. Enter two numbers 34 and say 87. You should get 34 and 87. Yeah, we got the correct output 34 and 87, but it appears that it is 3487, which you know that it is not. Better way of showing to the user is 34 comma space and 87. So for that, just put a comma and space. In the printf function, you can give space, comma, anything, whatever you want to show to the user. Now let me rebuild the project and rerun the project. Give some input 65. See, there are multiple ways of entering the input. One way is press enter key and then enter the second value. So there it is, we got 65 comma space 32. Another way would be, so some number, you can give space followed by second value. For integers, you can separate the input with space. Okay, don't put a comma in between, just give a space. That is also okay. But the downside of giving spaces is, suppose you want to take 10 numbers as input, then you have to count how many numbers you have entered, and 10 times you have to give space, of course. Then after counting 10 numbers, then only you have to press the enter key. But if you keep on pressing enter key after each and every input, you need not count. Automatically after taking the 10 values, it will stop automatically. Okay. So this is about the second program. Now let us see the third one, sum of two integers. Take one more variable. The accepting input remains the same, just say c is equal to a plus b print the sum. You say percentage D and now it is C. So rebuild the project, rerun it, say 45 and 12, we got 57. But what is that 57 value? It is the sum of both the numbers. It would be nice if you say sum equal to 57. For that, you have to say sum equal to 57. We get, let's check, rebuild the project. Every time you make any changes, rebuild the project. Run the program, 6 and say 78. We get sum equal to 84. This is better. I also told you that you can also say sum of 6 and 78 is equal to 84. That also you can say. For that, you have to say sum of percentage D, where the value of A should be substituted, and percentage D equal to percentage D. So then sum of say 10 and 20 equal to 30. First percentage D should get the value from A, second percentage D should get the value from B, and third percentage D should get the value from C. Okay, right. So 3 percentage D's, then 3 values. So let's rebuild the project, rerun the project. I enter 3 and 12 as input. Sum of 3 and 12 is equal to 15. I hope you understood this demonstration. I hope this demonstration would be helpful to you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.